Hi, my name's Colton Carlson. I'm Dale's grandson. And the first point that I want to make here is that rodeo is a really complex sport. There is so much knowledge involved about horses, calves, training, practice, and everything else that it's almost impossible to get started in rodeo without some sort of a background in rodeo or ranching. One thing that always impressed me about my grandpa, however, is that he didn't have that. He grew up in the city of Minot. Inside city limits, his parents knew nothing about rodeo, and they definitely didn't have horses. His first taste of rodeo came one day when a terrible friend of his by the name of Sonny Air invited him out to tie calves with him. My grandpa went out there knowing nothing about rodeo or calf roping, but that didn't stop Sonny Air from turning a calf loose on the end of the rope and telling my grandpa to go tie it. Sonny said that it wasn't that hard, but I don't know how many of you guys know Sonny Air, but he's about 6'2", 200 pounds, and my grandpa's closer to 5'8", 160. So for my grandpa, it was that hard, and he proceeded to get ran over for 5 minutes straight until Sonny stopped laughing long enough to go save him. But the moral of the story is that my grandpa never quit, and that work ethic never left my grandpa. He went on to become a bricklayer, where he would spend 5 to 6 days a week hauling stacks of brick across a construction site, and after doing that for 8 hours, he would come home, bone tired to a degree that I couldn't even imagine, and then he would saddle up a horse and get my grandma to go turn out cows for him. And he didn't miss a day. He knew that he wasn't as big, as strong, as fast, or as athletic as everybody else, so if he was going to win, he had to out-practice everyone, by a lot. My dad told me that practicing became like a religion to him, and to miss a calf was a cardinal sin. He knew that anything could happen on the ground, especially since he was a small guy, and they were basically roping buffalo back then. But no matter what happened on the ground, he was never going to be the guy that only roped 9 out of 10 calves when somebody else had roped 10. He was competitive to a fault, too. One of my favorite stories about my grandpa was from when I won my first ever buckle. I was in 2nd grade and I won a dummy roping competition at the Rough Rider Rodeo Finals in Devil's Lake. I was so excited I was running around showing this buckle to everybody, and I remember getting up to my grandpa, showing it to him, and he patted me on the shoulder and said, "Good job. 50 more and you'll have as many as your dad." That was always his philosophy, and that philosophy has served me well, and it served him well, as the skinny little city kid became a champion. Not just once, but almost a dozen times in 3 different associations throughout North Dakota. North Dakota High School Rodeo Association calf roping champion, only 2 years after roping his first calf. 2-time NDRA calf roping champion, and later on, multiple-time team roping and senior men's breakaway roping champion in the Rough Rider Rodeo Association. Not only did he succeed himself, but he built a legacy of rodeo. After my grandpa first won the high school calf roping in 1957, my dad went on to win it, and in 2017, I became the 3rd generation of Carlson to win the high school calf roping in North Dakota, 60 years after my grandpa first did it. And the generations who have followed my grandpa have won almost 100 buckles in rodeos throughout North Dakota. You cannot truly quantify the effect that my grandpa's dedication to the sport has had on rodeo in North Dakota. He was a judge for 20 years and a stock contractor for 5. He and his family have been vital in starting one of the biggest rodeo associations in North Dakota in the Rough Rider Rodeo Association, and they have helped put on countless rodeos throughout the state in the past 50 years. Many people compete in rodeo, but it takes a truly special person like my grandpa to love the sport so much that he helps it thrive even once the sport's done with him. I don't know how many of you guys have read the description for the 1970s rodeo division, but it's really a 2-part description. The first relates to success in the arena, which my grandpa has obviously had. But the second states that the nominee must have upheld the traditions of the Western lifestyle in an honorable manner. And no one has done that better than my grandpa.
Hello, my name is Jessica Billadeau Weldon, and I would like to share some of my family's thoughts and experiences with Dale Carlson. My dad, Harvey, has known Dale for probably over 50 years as a competitor and as a friend. I can't tell you the first time I ever met Dale. I'm sure it was the first Rough Rider rodeo I ever tagged along with my dad to, and Dale was probably either sorting some calves or checking the draw or standing next to Mary's brown central entry van with his dog Kai. He took that dog everywhere. But I do know that for the next 30 plus years, Dale was probably at every Rough Rider rodeo. I and everybody else who's ever been to a Rough Rider rodeo, he was there. My dad said that when he was a young cowboy just getting started, Dale was someone that he looked up to and admired. Dale offered him a lot of advice and support as he was getting started because my dad didn't come from a rodeo family either. In the days of getting off the left in the calf roping, my dad said Dale Carlson did it as well as anyone he ever saw. He said one step off and Dale was under the rope, probably because he was a smaller guy, and he was to the calf. My dad asked him and at that time, cowboys were just starting to get off the right, and Dad asked Dale about it, and Dale told him that he better get off the right because it was definitely going to be the way of the future. Dale was competitive at amateur and professional rodeos across the region. But one thing I really admire about Dale, and that stands out, is that he always rode good horses. I remember a little paint horse and a little sorrel horse that he rode for years. I wasn't there, but in the early 60s at the Match of Champions rodeo, Dean Oliver and Bob Wiley, they matched in the calf roping, and both of them came here and they rode Dale's horses. And in the 70s, Sonny also matched Dean Oliver, and he also rode Dale's horse. That speaks very highly of Dale's horses and his horsemanship. And as Colton mentioned, he was a good competitor, but Dale Carlson has spent the rest of his life after his rodeo career devoted to the sport of rodeo and making it better for generations to come. He did contract cattle. He was a well-respected judge. He has served on boards, and he and his wife Mary have been involved in the Rough Rider Association for over 35 years. This summer, Dale drove down to visit with my dad, and I was getting ready to go to a youth rodeo event with my girls, and they came into the shop office, and we were visiting. The girls came in, and Dale could not wait to ask them about their horses and their rodeo events and rodeos in general. He loved helping the youth. At 80 years old, Dale has some pretty significant health issues, but he still gets to as many rodeos and supports the sport of rodeo as much as he can. He's had a pretty rough winter this year, and he isn't here today, but I would like to thank him for everything that he has done for the sport of rodeo. He and Mary have helped shape generations of cowboys and cowgirls in our state. North Dakota Rodeo is very lucky to have such devoted individuals to our sport. Dale Carlson would be an excellent addition to the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame. Thank you.